She was there, she was warm, she was close. You could feel it in the way she looked at you, in the way she responded, in the way her presence made the entire world feel lighter. And then, without any warning, without any argument, without any explanation that made sense, she pulled away. Not dramatically, not with anger. Worse, she just became distant. The messages got shorter, the energy shifted, the warmth you once felt was replaced by something hollow, something cold, something that made you question whether any of it was ever real in the first place. And now you are standing in the wreckage of that silence, replaying every conversation, searching for the moment you lost her, wondering what you did wrong, and feeling a kind of pain that you cannot even properly describe to the people around you, because on the surface nothing actually happened. There was no fight, there was no breakup in the traditional sense, there was just a slow, quiet vanishing, and somehow that is worse than anything. If you are in this place right now, do not move past this video, because the next 15 minutes might be the difference between you falling into a spiral that strips away your dignity and you rising into a version of yourself that no silence, no distance, no coldness from anyone will ever be able to break again. Let me tell you something most people will never say to you. The pain you feel right now is not because she went cold. The pain you feel is because you built something inside your chest, something beautiful, something hopeful, something vulnerable, and you handed the key to it to someone who did not guard it the way you expected. That is the real wound, not her distance. Your openness, you let someone in, you allowed yourself to feel. You dropped your guard because she made it feel safe to do so. And now that she has stepped back, you feel exposed, like a city that pulled down its walls only to watch the army retreat and leave it open to the wind. You keep asking yourself, what changed? You keep scrolling back through your phone looking for signs. You keep analyzing her last few messages, searching for hidden meaning, trying to decode whether her short reply was anger or indifference or a test. And here is what that obsession is doing to you. It is placing her at the center of your mind and pushing you to the edges. It is making you a visitor in your own life. You are no longer living your days. You are interpreting hers. You are no longer building your world. You are monitoring hers. And every hour that passes in that state, you lose a piece of yourself that will be very difficult to recover if you do not stop now. Men are rarely taught how to process this. Society tells you to be strong, but it never teaches you what strength looks like in the silence of your bedroom at 2 in the morning when you cannot sleep, because the person who used to say good night is now saying nothing at all. Society tells you to move on, but it never explains how to move on when your emotions have wrapped themselves around someone like roots around a stone. So you do what most men do in that situation. You reach out. You send another message. You try to restart the conversation. You ask if everything is okay. You over-explain. You apologize for things you are not even sure you did. You try to prove that you are still the person she once wanted, and every single one of those actions, no matter how sincere they are, pushes her further away. Not because you are a bad person, but because desperation has a frequency, and it repels. It always repels. Marcus Aurelius, the last of the great Roman emperors, a man who led armies and governed an empire while writing some of the most profound personal reflections in human history, once wrote something that should be carved into the mind of every man who has ever lost himself in the absence of another person. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Read that again. You have power over your mind, not over her feelings, not over her decisions, not over her silence, not over whether she comes back or stays gone. You have power over your mind. And right now, your mind is a battlefield that you have abandoned. You are letting her coldness dictate your warmth. You are letting her withdrawal dictate your worth. You are letting the absence of her attention become the absence of your peace. And that is not love. That is emotional slavery. That is handing the reins of your entire inner world to someone who may not even realize she is holding them. Epictetus, a man who was born into literal chains, a man who lived as a slave before becoming one of the most respected philosophers in history, taught a principle so simple that most people overlook its power. He said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." Her silence is not what is destroying you. It is the story you are telling yourself about her silence. You are not just experiencing distance. You are interpreting it. You are saying, she does not care anymore. You are saying, I was not enough. You are saying, she found someone better. You are saying, I will never feel that connection again. And every single one of those thoughts is a judgment, not a fact. You do not know why she went cold. You may never know. People shift for reasons that have nothing to do with you, reasons buried in their own fears, their own confusion, their own inability to handle closeness, their own past wounds that resurface the moment something starts to feel too real. But your mind, desperate for an explanation, will always choose the story that hurts the most, because pain feels more believable than mystery. And that is the trap. That is the exact trap that Stoicism was designed to free you from. Let me show you what the common mistake looks like, and I want you to be honest with yourself about whether you have already made it or are about to. The first mistake is the double message. She did not respond, so you send another. Maybe something casual, maybe a meme, maybe a question designed to seem effortless but crafted with surgical precision to get a reaction. You are not being casual, you are performing, and she knows it. The second mistake is the emotional confession. You sit down and write a long paragraph about how you feel, how much she means to you, how confused you are, hoping that your vulnerability will melt whatever ice has formed between you. But vulnerability only moves people who are already facing you. When someone has turned away, your open heart does not pull them back. It simply gives them confirmation that they hold all the power. The third mistake is surveillance. You start watching her online activity. You notice when she is active. You see her liking other posts. You wonder who she is talking to. And every observation adds another brick to the prison you are building inside your own mind. The fourth mistake, and this is the most dangerous one, is the bargain. You start adjusting yourself. You think, maybe if I change this, maybe if I become more of what she wants, maybe if I am less intense, less emotional, less honest, she will come back. And in that moment, you are not fighting for love. You are dismantling your identity to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. That is not devotion, that is self-erasure. So what does the Stoic response look like? It does not look like coldness. It does not look like revenge. It does not look like pretending you do not care. It looks like this. You feel the pain. You acknowledge it. You let it exist without letting it command you. You sit with the discomfort of not knowing why she pulled away, and you accept that you may never know, and you decide that your peace will not be held hostage by unanswered questions. You stop reaching out, not as a strategy, not as a game, but because you recognize that a person who wants to be in your life does not need to be convinced to stay. You redirect your energy. Every minute you spend analyzing her behavior is a minute stolen from your own growth. Take it back. Put it into your body. Put it into your work. Put it into your mind. Put it into the parts of your life that were neglected while you were pouring everything into someone who was slowly stepping away. You rebuild your boundaries. You remind yourself that your attention, your time, your emotional investment, these are not free resources to be distributed without reciprocation. They are sacred, they are valuable, and they belong to the people who earn them and honor them, not to the people who take them and disappear. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The scenario you are building in your head, the one where she is happily moving on while you are falling apart, the one where you meant nothing, the one where you will always be the one left behind, that scenario is a construction. It is not truth, it is fear, dressed as certainty. And you are feeding it every time you replay the memory, every time you check her profile, every time you imagine the worst. The Stoic does not deny his feelings. He refuses to let his feelings author his reality. There is a monumental difference between feeling the sting of loss and allowing that sting to redefine who you are. You are not the man who got left behind. You are the man who is learning that his foundation cannot be another person. You are not the man who was not enough. You are the man who is discovering that enough was never something she had the authority to decide. I want you to picture two versions of yourself. The first version is the man you are right now, or the man you were yesterday. He wakes up and the first thing he does is check his phone. He looks for a message that is not there. His chest tightens. He goes through his day distracted, half present, performing normalcy while his mind is caught in a loop of what went wrong. He writes messages he never sends. He deletes messages he wishes he had never sent. He tells himself he is over it. Then at night, when the noise of the world fades, the silence becomes unbearable, and she fills every corner of it. He is not living. He is waiting. He is waiting for her to decide that he matters again. Now picture the second version. This man wakes up and feels the absence, but he does not chase it. He sits with it like a man sitting with a wound, aware of it, careful with it, but not consumed by it. He does not check her profile. He does not analyze her last message. He goes to the gym or the work or the walk or the book or the project, not because he is running from pain, but because he has decided that his life will not be paused by someone else's uncertainty. He speaks less about her. He thinks about her less each day, not because he has forgotten, but because he has chosen to remember himself. He carries a quiet dignity that needs no audience. He does not perform strength. He embodies it. And here is what happens to that second man that almost no one talks about. He becomes magnetic, not because he is trying to attract anything, but because a man who is genuinely at peace with himself, a man who does not need validation to feel whole, a man who walks through pain without losing his posture, that man radiates something that no strategy, no game, no technique can replicate. He radiates sovereignty. He radiates self-possession. And the world, including the people who walked away from him, cannot help but notice. This is not about getting her back. Let me be absolutely clear about that. This is not a strategy to make her return. She may come back. She may not. That is not yours to control, and it should not be yours to obsess over. This is about something far more important than any single person. This is about reclaiming the throne of your own life. This is about looking in the mirror and seeing a man who does not crumble when someone withdraws their affection. This is about building an emotional architecture so solid that no one's silence can make you question your worth. Because the truth is, she is not the first person who will go cold on you. Life will present this test again and again. People will come close and pull away. Opportunities will open and close. Love will arrive and sometimes leave without explanation. And every time it happens, you will face the same choice. Will you collapse into the pain and let it define you, or will you stand in the fire and let it refine you? Marcus Aurelius did not write his meditations for an audience. He wrote them for himself, in the middle of war, in the middle of loss, in the middle of a life filled with betrayal and death and loneliness. And what he kept telling himself, over and over, was this: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop debating whether you should reach out. Stop asking whether she still cares. Stop wondering if you are worthy of love. Be the man who already knows his worth so deeply that no one's absence can subtract from it. That is the path. That is the transformation. That is the version of you that does not need this video because he has already internalized the lesson. But today, right now, you needed to hear it. So let this be the moment. Let this be the line in the sand. Everything before this was the man who let someone else's coldness freeze his entire world. Everything after this is the man who carries his own fire. You do not need her warmth to survive. You never did. You just forgot for a little while that the sun was always inside you. The man who masters his own mind will never be mastered by another person's silence. Remember that. Not just today, every day. Until it is no longer something you remember, but something you are.